On Wednesday, AEW put on what I thought was its best Dynamite show in weeks. I know some people typically tune out of all the Forbidden Door stuff this time of year. They don't give a shit about New Japan. They don't give a shit about CMLL. It's 4 weeks of build for matches that after June 30th are not going to have any bearing on AEW television. I get it. But last year's go-home show to Forbidden Door brought in more than 900,000 viewers on TBS. The go-home show to this year's Forbidden Door is coming up on Wednesday. And if they are going to pull a number anywhere close to that, they've got one hell of a task ahead of them. Because I had to do a double take when I saw this week's Dynamite number. I thought it has to be a mistake. Maybe I'm looking at the collision number. I had to rub my eyes and hold up my monocle like Mr. Peanut. The number has been verified as accurate. AEW Dynamite dropped 26% from the week before and did the lowest number in the history of the show on Wednesday nights. 502,000 overnight viewers on TBS. That number is so shockingly low, you would think it was a measurement error. But Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics has independently confirmed the rating is not an error. Because that does happen sometimes. You know, look at this week with NXT. It happened. There were phony numbers floating, or I don't think there was a measurement error, but there were phony numbers floating around before the accurate ones were posted. So it does happen sometimes, but that is not the case here. The 0.16 demo number for 18 to 49 is the lowest in the history of the show. Ever. That is not the kind of history that Tony Khan wants to be making. Whether you believe it is a sign that the audience just is not connecting with the product, or if you think it was a 1 week anomaly and they're going to rebound this week, which I believe it was. It was an anomaly. For the number to be that low, it was an anomaly. I do believe that. But no matter which way you slice it, that is an absolutely abysmal number for what is supposed to be their flagship show, at a time when they are negotiating with Warner Brothers Discovery for a higher paying media rights deal. And what makes it even worse is that they promoted MJF's first match back in 6 months to open the show commercial free. They had a commercial free match with one of their top stars that they promoted a week out. And yes, it was the high point of the show, but it was also 400,000 people less than tuned in for MJF's first promo after Double or Nothing. Now, in spite of all this, they were still third on all of cable for the night in 18 to 49. So how do you account for that? It's not that Dynamite hasn't seen drops this year. They've been dropping almost every fucking week. But you got to admit, that's a pretty dramatic 1 week drop. That's down 30%. One culprit, and I do think this hurt them. Absolutely. They did not have Big Bang Theory as their usual lead-in. TBS aired Black Panther instead. A lot of people watch Big Bang Theory before Dynamite. It's one of the reasons why their opening quarter hour is usually their highest quarter hour. All the people who leave their TVs on, or grandpa falling asleep in his lazy boy, he's going to wake up at 1 a.m. and see an infomercial for fucking dick pills. I'll bet Gramps could use him some of that. MJF's segment a few weeks ago that opened the show did almost 1 million viewers. Without Big Bang Theory, that segment doesn't do 976,000 viewers. This week, it was down to 586,000 viewers. When Sheldon Cooper is your biggest draw, you've got problems. I see a lot of people blaming the Kendrick Lamar concert that was airing on Amazon. Could that have hurt them? Sure. To some extent, that would help explain how they could do such a terrible number and still be third on cable for the night. But it's not a concert. It's not summertime weather. I mentioned last year's Go Home to Forbidden Door pulled in 900,000 viewers. I guess summer didn't exist last year. We only had 3 seasons instead of 4. Somebody forgot to tell me. If this week's show cannot rebound to at least the 700,000 range, then Tony Khan has a much bigger problem on his hands. This week feels like an outlier, and I hope it is, because I really enjoyed that show. I thought it was a strong episode, and they did more right than they did wrong. But one thing that cannot be ignored, even if they rebound this week, and they will, One thing that cannot be ignored is the erosion of their audience. Compared to the same week 1 year ago, Dynamite was down 44% in total viewers, 51% in the key demo that's so important to these people. That's not just a bad week. That's a disaster of epic proportions if this were to become the norm. So I expect them to bounce back this week, but let's say they don't, or not by much. The alarm bell should be sounding. They're already sounding with the drops they've had, but a drop like that would be a 5-alarm fire. If this company is that dependent on their lead-in and one really good quarter hour to lift up their overall average, that is not sustainable. I'm not going to sit here and rant and rave that the sky is falling. AEW is doomed. That's it. All hope is lost. The audience is gone. A good chunk of the audience is gone. It's not as if they have no audience, though, but they should be trying to figure out why those people who used to be there are no longer there. And how can we get those people back? They're not making any new fans, but maybe they can figure out a way to get those people to come back. You know, good word of mouth will do that. But you have to be consistent. One good week is not enough. I mean, this was a really strong episode. They're not like that every single week. They need to put together a streak of shows like that and hope that it resonates with enough people. I'm not sure that it will, because I think back to February into March. They were on a hot streak there. I thought creatively, as far as the shows themselves, of at least 4 or 5 weeks straight, where I thought Dynamite was hitting home run after home run. Didn't seem to matter then, but that's what they need to do. They need to hope. All right, if we put together a bunch of slam dunk shows that hit more than they miss, that it'll create some buzz, it'll create word of mouth that will have people tuning back into the show to see what's going on, you know, with our stories and our top stars. And something will click, whether it's an angle, whether it's one star that gets hot. They were hoping that the elite angle would be that magic angle that got hot, and it hasn't. It's been a failure in that regard. If that was the goal of the angle, it has been a failure. There was something that those people who were no longer watching liked about Dynamite and liked about AEW that kept them watching. And now it's not there. And it's not just CM Punk. I know CM Punk is the easy answer here, because let me tell you something. Even before CM Punk came in, you go back and take a look at those Dynamite numbers, okay? They were routinely pulling 1 million viewers. Not every week, but a lot of weeks. Before CM Punk, they were pulling 1 million viewers. So don't tell me that, oh, CM Punk left and that's why the ratings are down. Bullshit. The number may rebound this week, but the problems are still going to be there. I hope they can do something to address them. Jonathan from Charlotte, North Carolina. I enjoy AEW most weeks, but it's clear that whatever momentum used to be there is no longer there. NXT has more buzz around it than AEW does, and that's supposed to be the developmental show. I can't pinpoint exactly what's causing the ratings to fall so drastically. Is it the Young Bucks storyline? Maybe, but the ratings were falling even before that. Is it the Jericho segments? Probably not. He's kind of just doing his own thing. Is it Swerve as champion? I wouldn't even say that, because it's not like he's all over the show. It feels like AEW's design purpose to give the fans an alternative who were put off by what WWE was churning out stopped being effective once Triple H took over. And ever since then, it's been a downward slope. AEW is not going out of business, but this is the most ice cold it's been since they launched 5 years ago. And matches on TV with build that no one cares about are just as bad, if not worse, than matches on TV with no build. What are your thoughts? I think that is a very smart observation, that building up matches on TV that may have build and story to them, but nobody gives a shit. I would say that's every bit as worse. Every bit is worse. Every bit is bad. Got to correct my English here. Every bit is bad, if not worse. I talked about it a little bit before in the ratings segment. On the one hand, I think people are making more of this 1 week rating, the 500,000 number. There are people who are losing their minds over a number that's going to go back up next week. My point is, even when, not if, but when the number goes back up, it's just such an alarmingly low number. There's no way it doesn't shoot back up next week, but by how much, we don't know. it doesn't mean that there aren't real problems that need to be addressed. And I know it's the sort of thing that AEW fans don't like hearing about because they enjoyed the show. I enjoyed the show this week. As a fan, it's frustrating to me when I see, oh shit, they had a great show and the numbers went down. Then there'll be a week where the show I think is shit and the numbers go up. And I'm just like sitting here going, what is going on here? It doesn't make any sense to me. But these things take time. It's very frustrating as a fan. If I wasn't a fan, I wouldn't be frustrated. You know what? If I wasn't a fan, I would shrug my shoulders and go, who cares? And I'd move on. But I do care, and I want to see them do well. I want to see them have a healthy product. And you just lay out a whole bunch of different things there, and maybe they all play a very small role individually, but, you know, the Jericho segments, they're just bad. You know, like you said, it's not chasing off, you know, hundreds of thousands of people. It's just bad television. Swerve is champion. Like you said, he's not all over the show. So you can't lay it at his feet. This was going on before they belted him at Dynasty. The Young Bucks, well, there could be something there. Because look, they're part of the top storyline in this company, and that top storyline is not hitting right now. So yes, they deserve part of the blame. But it's not just them either. It's a combination of different things, and it's just up to Tony Khan to figure out what the magic formula is to try to get these people back. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but there has to be an effort to at least acknowledge that there's a problem here. Right? If you can't even acknowledge, you can't even bring yourself to admit that there is a problem here, then you can't fix it if it doesn't exist in your mind.